Today, I want to talk about muscle. Now, believe me, as a former professional bodybuilder and somebody that's been lifting weights since she was 14, I have been waiting decades for muscle to be fashionable and discussed in a serious way. And now it is happening. I'm kind of a little bit annoyed with the fear-mongering and the panic that's taking place when we're talking about muscle. So now I'm seeing, and this is, because of the weight loss medications, and oh, they make you lose muscle and they burn through muscle, and I'm seeing doctors and coaches and people wagging their fingers at other people, shaming them and scolding them for the muscle loss that they're going to experience. And yet I don't see any of them offering a solution, because muscle is absolutely a skill. I cannot think of anything else where people just assume they're going to be good at it. I mean, if you want to take up golf, you go get golf lessons. It's a given. If you want to play tennis, you get tennis lessons. If you want to learn another language, you get, a teacher. And yet, when it comes to building muscle, somehow we think that all we have to do is buy a gym membership, go in the gym, throw a few weights around, 4 sets of 12, add a bit of chicken to the salad, and somehow we're led to believe that, you'll build muscle, and yeah, oh, there you go, that'll work. I did my Pilates class, I did it, whatever it is, right? It's not going to work. I mean, and it certainly is not going to work the older we get. And I would say that most of the people taking the weight loss medications, which I have no problem with that, no dog in that fight whatsoever, changing lives. But the majority of the people I'm going to suspect are in that age where they are losing muscle anyway, and they're just not getting the support. They're just getting shamed. So let's just back up a little. And this is, okay, I'm plugging my program. I've got my Muscle Month program starting on March the 16th through to April the 12th. I mean, I've got programs on from everything from mindset to midlife, and yet I was born to coach this program. If there's one thing I know upside down and back to front, it is gaining muscle. And it's gaining muscle and getting lean. I mean, I love coaching this program. I'm passionate about muscle. And as I said at the beginning, it hasn't been really discussed. It was almost frowned upon. And now it's being celebrated, but people are being shamed about it and not supported or coached in it. So here's the deal. To build muscle, that you have to create the right environment and the right stimuli. And most people do neither. They'll go to the gym, they'll throw some weights around with very, very questionable form, and they're not quite in the right environment. And, at first the body will change, because here's the thing. When you are brand new to lifting weights, anything's going to work. You lift up, some sandbags, you're going to build muscle. And they're called newbie gains. So newbie gains is the first maybe year and a half, but if you're a bit older, nah. And that's where it doesn't matter what you do. It literally doesn't matter what you do. You'll gain a little bit of muscle. You might not gain it where you want it. And that's a whole other thing about actually, creating the body you want. But yeah, newbie gains. But once the newbie gains are gone, nah, it's an absolute skill. Now, the good news, it is a fascinating skill, and it's so interesting. It's so interesting that once you understand it, it just makes the journey more joyful, and it's more encouraging and motivating. I mean, if you could just go to the gym and you don't know what you're doing, how long are you going to do that for? I mean, it can't be that fun, is it? But when you go in the gym and you know exactly what you're doing and exactly how you're training and exactly reps, rest, body splits, the whole thing, then there's structure and there's, dare I say, discipline to it, and definitely a joy to it. So first off, muscle is not an accident. You don't lift with the weights and suddenly have a bicep and you're like, oh my gosh, where did that turn up? And suddenly you're an awesome squatter. It just doesn't happen. It's not an accident. There's no such thing as accidental muscle. The ladies that are scared of getting too big, please, please, can we stop with that? Just in my 40 years of doing this, I've never seen anybody gain muscle unless they were trying to do so. So if you're looking at somebody that's very muscular, you might not like their body, but believe me, they do, because they have deliberately worked to get that body. Some people can build muscle more easily than others, but any muscle that's being built is deliberate. Okay, that's a little rant over. So why are we getting scared to death about it? Why is it so important? And it truly, truly, truly is. And yes, the weight loss medications, people are suffering a crazy amount of muscle loss, but it doesn't have to be that way. It's just the environment they're creating is not conducive for building muscle, and it's not conducive for even maintaining muscle. But once you understand how to change that, it's not difficult. It's really not. Just nobody's coaching it. I really need to build a program just for the weight loss medications, and because it pains me that people aren't being coached in how to do this. Anyway, let me get back to muscle. So the first thing to understand about muscle is it is the largest storage site we have for nutrients. So imagine your muscles are boxes, and that's where we can put nutrients. So that's where we can put sugar, carbohydrates, etc. And that's where we store about 75 or 80% of our carbohydrates. Well, if that's not there, then we don't have anywhere to store the sugar, or we have less space to store the sugar. So where's the sugar going to go? Where's it going to go? It's either going to go and get turned into fat, or it's going to stay in your blood, and that's a disease state. So right off the bat, muscle is your greatest storage site. So if you want to, well, if we just go to weight loss, if you want sustained weight loss, it's going to be very hard to do if you're losing muscle, because you're losing the storage site of where you can put your carbohydrates. And if you can't put them in the storage site, then they're going to end up somewhere else, maybe on your ass. Sorry. So yes, if you're losing muscle, then sustained weight loss becomes very problematic. That's just a given. So muscle, it really is like your health bank account type of thing. Research shows that muscle mass is one of the strongest predictors of lifespan. That's a stronger predictor than even body fat percentage. Grip strength. Grip strength alone is a better predictor of longevity than blood pressure. If your grip weakens with age, so does your overall resilience. This has come up in conversations a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, where people have told me how, it was hard they saw somebody or the family member couldn't take the top off the milk jug or something like this. And I'm like, that's a problem. That's going to be a real problem. That's, if you can't do that, then you're not, that's then the person that's pulling the trash can, but they can't grip it and they fall over, break the hip, or they can't get out the bathtub or get into a car. That grip strength is crazy important. So sarcopenia is age-related muscle loss. I talk about this a lot in my Muscle Month program. None of us are avoiding it. You want to show me the 80-year-old that has too much muscle? Never met him. I've been training with weights, like I said, since I was 14. I'm 57 now. The story I like to tell is 20 years ago. So I'm married to Kevin now, but I was married once before. And on that wedding day, I remember distinctly on the wedding day getting up and getting on the scale. I wanted to see how much I weighed, and I weighed 155 pounds. And I was thrilled. I was 155 pounds and I was super lean. I rocked the dress, fantastic. Fast forward now, so 21 years later, and I'm about 139 pounds, say, let's say 140 pounds, and I'm a little bit fatter. So I've lost 15 pounds and I'm not as lean. So that is legit that I've lost, probably 15 pounds of muscle in the last 20 years. And this is somebody that knows the skill of building muscle, has always trained to build muscle. I've never trained for anything else. I train to build muscle. I'm a muscle junkie. I eat to build muscle, and I've lost muscle with age. Um, there was definitely a moment there about 7 years ago when I was really sick. I mean, really circling the drain kind of sick. And I dropped a bunch of weight then, and I was never able to regain it fully. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, so if I'm losing muscle, everybody's losing muscle with age. And again, muscle acts like a glucose sponge, so it pulls sugars from the bloodstream without needing it to be transported. So I expand on that, but it's so important, and it is the tissue of longevity, and we are definitely losing with age. But the last thing you want to be doing is losing it earlier than you need to. Independence. So muscle strength, especially in the legs, is a huge factor in maintaining independence. Women over 60 who can't stand up from a chair without using their hands are at a significantly higher risk of fragility and early mortality. And that's a lot of women. Leg strength is also directly linked to cognitive function. So keeping your legs strong and doing those squats and deadlifts are almost like a brain food, or food for the brain, I should say. Ladies, now I'm talking to you. So women usually have less muscle than men. This is a percentage. It's a little bit misleading, but the muscle loss with age is much greater for women. So muscle loss can start at around the age 30, but after menopause, it drastically increases. This is partly due to declining estrogen, which plays a huge role in muscle repair. So women over the age of 50 can lose up to 3% of their muscle mass per year if they're not actively working to preserve it. That's a big deal. And let's not even talk about if you lose the muscle, at 50, you really want to try and build that back. It's not as easy. Let's not lose it in the first place. Bone health. So more muscle, better bone health. Strength training isn't just about building muscle, it increases bone density. So that's really critical for osteoporosis, which is mainly women, but not always. So resistance training is the only non-pharmaceutical intervention proven to build new bone. Pretty cool. What about our hormones? So strength training improves estrogen metabolism. Sometimes quite often, it can offset the negative effects of menopause. I can attest to that. It also, for you guys, it boosts testosterone and growth hormone. Well, both men and women, but guys, yes, definitely getting rid of that belly fat and weight training can significantly increase your testosterone. So that's going to help, things like energy levels and even libido. Also, hormones released by muscle help fight inflammation, improve immune function, and even protect it against cancer. Muscle is just our longevity tissue. So what works? Protein. Yes, of course. Then, you might have heard the calculation 1 pound per pound of goal weight. I love that. Some people say it's slightly less, but why not just go for that? It makes the calculation very easy. In my Muscle Month program, ladies, I got you at a minimum for the 130 grams a day, guys are 180, but I also show people how to build their own meals and the calculation I use for that. There's also something called the leucine threshold, which I won't get into in this podcast, but it is absolutely necessary. And I can't even tell you, people totally miss the leucine threshold. They do this by they eat a little bit of protein all day. It won't work. won't work. There needs to be a trigger for muscle growth. There needs to be enough leucine. Leucine is the amino acid that's responsible for muscle protein synthesis. But the amount needed actually increases with age. I mean, as we're older, we actually need way more protein than we do when we're younger. I get into that in the program, but I mean, if you just want a ballpark, you've got to be eating at least 35 grams of protein per meal, especially in the first and the last meals of the day. I explain all that in my Muscle Month program. How to train. I know people would love to believe that lightweight, lots of reps. You can, I mean, you can, but I mean, you still have to get that muscle to failure. So you can't just use a lightweight and lots of reps and finish when you want to. You've still got to get that muscle pretty close to failure. That has to be progressive overload. And so, you know, if you're comfortable with your workouts, again, we have to challenge the muscle consistently. And that doesn't mean, you know, putting a bar on your back and just killing yourself every workout. There's skill and there's techniques to correctly create progressive overload without just adding more and more and more weight. And we are not, let me just finish on this. Can we not think that we're going to cardio ourselves into shape? Hopefully that's a thing of the past. So this is a little observation that I see far too many times. Ladies will tell me what they want to look like. Oh, you know, I just want toned arms and a six pack and a little cute butt. I'm like, okay. What have you been doing? Cardio? How do you think cardio is going to give you toned arms, little delts, abs, and a little perky butt? How's that going to work? So, and what happens here is often ladies are very intimidated by the gym. So what they do is they'll walk through the gym and just go into the cardio room and do cardio. And that's a real shame. And again, that's because nobody's supporting them, coaching them. But cardio won't do it. If you really think about it, and it's an exercise I do with my clients, and I'll say, you know, women get too fixated on, I say women because it's the truth, get too fixated on the scale. But I'll say, close your eyes and look, picture a perfect version of your body and describe it to me. You can do it if you want. Close your eyes, picture what you want to look like, and describe it to me. Every single time, what people describe is muscle. They never say, oh, I see a skeleton figure with stick arms and legs and skin hanging off, and that's what I see. No, they don't. They're always, I see tight skin, taut skin, I'm very lean. I've got oblique lines, I've got little delts, I can see lines in my legs. They'll tell me things like this, things like this. That's muscle. To quote one of my very good friends, Monica Brandt, if you're listening to this, she has a great, Monica, legend in the fitness world, and dear friend of mine for 30 years. And she'd say, you can't tone a bone. You can't tone a bone. It all starts with muscle. So muscle is not just about looking cute, although I think that is a very valid reason for wanting it. It is the foundation of metabolic health. It is the foundation of strength, independence, and longevity. And we are losing it with age. And the way I see the finger wagging and the shaming, like, oh, it's all muscle, they're losing all muscle, but nobody's telling them how to preserve muscle, then let me, because this is my arena. So my Muscle Month program, it starts on March the 16th and runs through to April 12th. Now, you can purchase the program at any time. It can be a self-study program. Anytime you want to buy it and do it yourself, completely fine. But I do offer it once or twice a year in a live format. So the live format means there's 10 live coaching calls. We spend a lot of time in my gym and the rest of the time in my office. So it's about the science of muscle building. It is obviously the nutrition of muscle building and the practical. So, gym time, tips, tricks, movement patterns, body part training, how I build workouts, my favorite workouts, etc., etc. So one thing about the nutrition, uh, this is not a bulking program. My nutrition for this program is always built around building muscle and staying lean or getting leaner. It's never a bulking program. The issue I have with bulking programs is, for one, I'm never going to do one. So if I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to make you do it. But if you're going to bulk, you're going to have to know how to shred. And very few people know how to shred without shredding off all the muscle we've just built. So I think it's quite cute that I see, I guess it's really fashionable right now that the teenagers, the teenage boys are all doing bulking cycles. I think they follow this guy, Sam Sullock, on YouTube, who seems like a great kid. No, he's not a kid, he's a young man. Um, and so they're all bulking. Well, bulking is great, right? Because you just eat a load of nonsense. Um, but the other side of that is you've got to know how to shred. And I've done the shreds. I've done many of them. They are not fun. So let's not do that. Plus, the way people eat to bulk is not healthy. So my nutrition is to build muscle and get leaner or stay lean at the same time, which is absolutely possible. And in the program, I describe the two pathways that create that and how to go in between the two pathways. So I am a geek when it comes to this. By the end of my Muscle Month program, um, you will know more than probably 90% of trainers. 10% of trainers are very, very knowledgeable about this. You'd think all of them would be, but that's not the case. And I'm not being disparaging here. It is simply because a lot of what I coach is not found in the certification courses. It's just not. Some of the certifications are very, very comprehensive. They are. But a lot of trainers, they'll do a weekend course or an online course and multiple choice, and it's simply not covered. Um, Muscle building is a skill. It really is, but it is a fascinating skill. And once you understand it, which you would after doing this program, it just makes it very clear um, what needs to be done. It's a lot more fun and it's time saving. I mean, the gyms of the world are full of people that never change, or they change, but not in the ways they want. We've all seen that muscled guy, but he's got like the worst posture and his shoulders are messed up. And I mean, and he walks strange. And the thing about that, when it comes to training, is, the lifts are very specific. I know they might look very straightforward, but they're actually very specific. And when they're not coached, most people will have the worst form, which at best means you're not even targeting the muscle you're trying to target, and at worst means you're going to get injured. Um, there is a saying that practice makes perfect. I would disagree. I would say practice makes permanent. And, after doing my Muscle Month program, you'll see what I see when you go into a commercial gym. I mean, I have to look the other way. I cringe when I see the way most people train. Now, I spent 25 years as a trainer in Gold's Gym in Venice, so I was very spoiled because that place is a whole other level. I mean, everybody in there is on point. The trainers are on point, the clients are on point, everybody's form's on point. But then I would go out and go to some other commercial gyms, maybe if I was in Palm Springs or England or wherever I was. And I would be horrified watching people train. I mean, probably 80% of the people that were training by themselves had really poor form. And it would take everything I had not to go up. And I'd want to go up and say, hey, please don't squat like that. Let me show you. But then you're the buff chick that's telling people what to do. But wow. I mean, now I have my own gym for the last 7 years. I haven't actually had to go into a commercial gym. So that's kind of nice. But when I do, it's shocking. So practice does not make perfect, practice makes permanent. So if you are using poor form and you have not been coached, then and you repeat that year after year, decade after decade, it's likely not going to serve you too well. Okay, so now I feel like I'm becoming the fearmonger. So I'm kind of scaring people. Muscle building is really fun. It is, but it is a skill, and it is a fascinating edge of the seat type of skill. And I think one of the other things that can be a little bit daunting is people might now know that, oh my gosh, I need to build muscle, I need to be stronger, I need to, and it can be overwhelming. They think that they need to dedicate like 5 hours a week to it or something like that, and that's simply not the case. So maybe you've already, maybe you're doing, maybe you bike or you do yoga or you do Pilates, and you already have the activities that you love, and you don't really want to weight train, but you know you should. And you're thinking, oh, I haven't got the time, or you think, well, I'm going to have to give up something else to do this weight training thing. You don't. You really don't. Um, Give me 45 minutes twice a week of very specific training with the right nutrition, and you will be stronger and you will preserve muscle. So don't let the thought of, you know, having to dedicate all this gym time keep you from building, you know, this incredible tissue, which will serve us so well as we get older. And it also looks kind of cute. Muscle Month. Like I say, it's available all the time. It's actually called Muscle Mastery on the website. Um, Evergreen program, self-study, go and look at it, buy it whenever you want. But I do run this program live once or twice a year. Last year, I only had time to coach it once. We are going to start for the first time this year on March the 16th through to April the 12th. It is a super fun program, 10 live Zoom calls, all of which are recorded, of course. The pre-recorded content, of which at last count, I think there was 60 different pieces, which you have access to for 6 months. There are 5 different workouts, from beginner to intermediate, to my workout, to longevity workouts. And then, of course, the nutrition. There are all the meal plans, and then I will show you how to build meals yourself. It's super cool. I'd love for you to join. What is the website? Should have mentioned that. It's in the show notes, but it's www.musclemonth.com. And if you have any questions about it, you can email me, joe@theshrinkshop.com. But if you click the link, musclemonth.com, it's in the show notes, then you'll see the whole program, the whole curriculum is right there. I'll show you exactly what we're going to cover in 1 month, starting March 16th.